New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. And hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
Barbara Schalau.
And this is New Thought Today for today, July 15th, 2025. Welcome. It's got to be 2 o'clock on a Tuesday if we're doing New Thought Today. And that's exactly what's happening. We've got a special guest today with us, Barbara Schalau. I want to make sure I pronounce that correctly. I want to know the background on that name, but you don't have to tell us right away. But Barbara, welcome aboard to New Thought Today. How are you doing today, dear one?
I'm doing well, thank you. And Schalau is just German. That's all.
There we go. All right. Beautiful. And that's how we like to start it around here, is to give you an opportunity to say hello and tell everybody out there watching what we need to know about you to get started in our conversation today. So go ahead, dear. Take us away.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel honored to be here. As I said, my name's Barbara Schalau, and I am a retired high school math teacher of 30 years. And I did all of my teaching in California. And when I retired, I moved to Colorado to be near grandchildren. And what I did is I picked up on a passion that has been with me since I was in high school, which is about earth-friendly ideas and actions. And I created a website a couple of years ago called earthmattersnow.com, where I have about 12 blogs where each one focuses on some easy ideas for how to make a world that works best for all of us, as you've said. And I think one of my superpowers is kind of breaking down complicated ideas and making them simple. And so my hope is that by sharing with everybody today, that maybe there'll be 1, 2, or 3 ideas that stick and something that, people can try. Because my number one goal is to have less things going to landfill. There's no guilt, no judgment. It's just about what are some things that we can think about doing whenever possible.
Yeah, see, that's that math mind, right? So that math mind, it always sets these equations up and tells you, all right, now reduce this to the lowest term and make it simple so I don't got all these X's and Y's and things over here. And let's just get some actions that we can all do very simply, very succinctly, so that we continue to have a home. If people get it confused, they might get it confused, but if you put it in those terms, we got a house that we're trying to keep here, so let's take care of it.
I agree. I mean, we have finite resources, and one of the things that struck me was in my research was finding out about plastic. And so every piece of plastic that's ever been in existence is still in existence. It does not go away. It may break down into smaller and smaller pieces, but it doesn't go away. So that's just, to me, is shocking. And so I want to do whatever I can to reduce plastics and find easy solutions that don't require plastics.
Well, and that's a great statement. I'll just put it that way, in the fact that from the New Thought perspective, we understand that life is eternal. And so when we think about the plastics going from one stage or element to another, it just proves out the point that life is eternal. Even though you may not be able to see the plastic, it's still there and it's still doing whatever it does. And
Right.
and so the question becomes, how do we, as New Thought practitioners and lovers of our current home, how do we begin to think in a present moment action for a forward thinking activity, if you will, called life? And I think it's great to be able to bring others' awareness and attention to that, so that it becomes easier and easier for us to, when I grab this water bottle and get ready to get rid of it, first of all, to minimize, right? And then the second thing is, what is the best way to get rid of this, right? Or
Correct.
to dispose of it, or to recycle it. And
Right.
and that becomes key.
So I found a list of 6 R's that I kind of use as my template. And so the first R is reduce. So what can I change from my habits and my lifestyle that would be more supportive for Earth? And so when talking about reducing plastics in particular, one thing is that, like, when I go out to eat at restaurants, I bring my own containers with me for leftovers in case I have leftovers. Not always, but I sometimes do. And so, I have ones that stack so that I have different sizes. But also sometimes I just have these plastic ones that are in my car because they're lighter. And like, I'm often carrying several so that people that I'm going with, they don't always have their own. And so I'm handing them out so that we don't have to use styrofoam, first of all, which is horribly toxic and just not good for the environment, but also so we don't have to use a plastic container from the restaurant. We're reusing what we can and finding sustainable options that don't require plastic. The other thing is, when I go out for coffee or something, I'll bring my own commuter cup with me. I mean, this is a habit that I've been doing for many, many, many years. The leftover ones is probably more in the last 4 years, but this I've been doing for over 20 years, just bringing my own containers whenever I go somewhere. And a water bottle. Carry a water bottle, a stainless steel water bottle that I filled up at home. I'll carry that. I've got them, in my car. I've got them everywhere so that I don't have to use the plastic water bottle, because that plastic, sometimes it gets recycled and sometimes it doesn't. But most times it ends up in landfill. So what I'm trying to do is change my habits. And one of the things, when I think about, like, when I go to a takeout, like let's say I'm going to Chipotle, and I need silverware, and well, not silverware, I need utensils to eat. I mean, there's the plastic fork. So that plastic fork, I might use it for 15 to 20 minutes, but that is going to be, in the environment for the rest of eternity. And so what I've done is I take with me my own utensils. So I have this napkin that I made, but it could easily be just a cloth napkin or a bandana. And then inside, I just carry my own utensil with me, so that when I'm finished eating, I'll wipe it off and clean it up as best I can. But I've also got a napkin to use, so I don't have to use their paper napkin. And then, when I'm finished, I just roll it up and put it back in my purse. And of course, I wash it when it needs it.
Yeah.
But trying to reduce those plastic utensils. I mean, some places now have bamboo or compostable ones, which are great. But if they don't get composted, like if they just go into the landfill, it's defeats the purpose. So
Yes.
what I'm trying to do is to take as much action that I can control, which is to bring what I can with me. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing is reducing.
And one thing you remind me about there with the reducing, and that is we all should have ecological or ecology go bag, right? You hear about people having go bags for emergency situations. We should all make a little ecological go bag that has our own utensils, one or two containers, and a little something that we can stick in our backpack or leave in the car or picking out, so that and even if we have it in the bag or car and don't use it the first couple of times, the reminder that is there, and pretty soon it will, oh shucks, I got my boom, and then we'll get in the habit and begin to reduce. So I like that.
Yes,
I got an easier idea, really. Just do like the supermarkets and start charging people for plastic bags. Start charging people for plastic utensils. Start charging people for to-go containers, and let's make it a little less easy for the American public to just take the lazy road.
I think that's a great idea. I would totally support that. Because and what I've had to do, because, like using grocery bags and produce bags that I bring myself, what I have to do so that I remember it, at least in the beginning, is I would put it right behind my driver's seat, which is where I keep my purse. So then when I'm getting out of the car and I'm getting my purse, I see, oh, there's my cloth bags, or there's my leftover containers, or my utensils. And I do have an extra larger bag that I have extra utensils. So when I'm traveling with my grandsons and we're going to eat somewhere, then I can, pull out those. And sometimes it's even, I somebody gives me a plastic utensil or a set of utensils that I don't need. And, I've already said I don't want it, but somehow I end up with it. I'll stick it in that bag. So at least it's not getting thrown away right then. It'll get used at some point. At least that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so the other thing that, as far as reducing is, so, everybody has, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have these kind of, coffee makers, the single serving coffee makers. I know Rev Z has his Nespresso, but having these refillable filters so that you don't have those little plastic pods. And there are some pods that are now compostable, which is a step in the right direction. And I actually have little paper filters that go inside here that make it easier to clean, because then I just dump it into the compost pile and it's not all stuck to the screen. But these are ways that we can, again, reduce plastic use. Because the truth is that every time hot water goes on plastic, it's plastics are getting leached into our drink then at that point, and we're ingesting it, and so plastics aren't good for our health in any way.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say is that when I do have plastic stuff like these wrappers, so this is kind of going into number 3, which is recycle, but so recycling, which is disposing of things in environmentally friendly ways. So I have a service called Ridwell that is my favorite thing since sliced bread. It's a service that picks up unrecyclables every 2 weeks. So I get these plastic or these cloth bags. So they collect light bulbs, they collect batteries, they collect multi-layer plastic, which is what this is. So this kind of packaging all goes into my multi-layer plastic bag. They also take plastic film, like regular plastic bags, bubble wrap, all those mailers from like Amazon or whatever. Um, they also take styrofoam. So I have, a large bag that when my styrofoam gets filled up, then I put it out and they take it. And they have transparent ways of um, using and processing these materials. So they often have like some of these things get packaged or processed so that they become um, I think it's called Trex, where it can be used as decking. It's like a plastic decking type, or in playgrounds. So if you go to ridwell.com and you go to what they take, and then they talk about their partners. So they're not everywhere in the United States, but they're in a lot of the major cities, and they're definitely in the Denver area.
Yeah.
What I have is the unlimited, and it costs me $22 a month. And I can put out unlimited amounts of these products every 2 weeks. So I actually have a couple of neighbors that bring their things to me, and then we, you know, do this. And I'll also put out to my neighbors, like, if you've got, batteries or styrofoam, send it to me. Um, it's become kind of an obsession for me when I'm like walking and I see like bottle cap, the plastic tops like on your water bottle, Revsy.
Mm-hmm.
That's an extra category. Like every
Yep.
2 weeks, there's a featured category. So when I see those plastic tops, I'll pick them up and turn them in. But even one time I was at my aunt's and somebody was moving in and they had a new TV. So they had this huge box that had been broken down and they had all these styrofoam pieces and they were already upstairs delivering the TV. I just took all the styrofoam. They probably don't know what happened to it when they came back out, but it was like, I knew it was just going to end up in the
Yeah.
landfill. So I
Yeah.
just took it with me and put it in my Ridwell. Um,
And you make a great point there about one of the key points I think of New Thought, and we've been talking about it in other ways, is community, is sharing this stuff with community, right? So one person, two people serve as a distributor, collector, whatever. Again, it helps. It begins to build relationships with other people
mhm.
that you may not normally have got a chance to meet in your neighborhood. And because Rev Briz and I always talk about community gardens and doing that same
Mhm.
shit. You got certain things that once they start growing, zucchini and stuff like that, tomatoes, you can't eat all of them, right? And
Right.
either they rot, or you give them away.
Exactly. Or you make a lot of zucchini bread.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Folks, we got an inside Colorado joke going on because I just took two big ones out of my garden yesterday. Actually, my wife did. I'll give her the credit. I just saw them in the fridge and went, "Oh, it's zucchini bread season." So it has begun. You're catching us on an inside joke. So I love this, Barbara. You're taking the traditional 3 R's of reduce, reuse, and recycle, and maybe we'll take a shortcut word here, and you're kind of getting radical with them, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good type
Yeah.
of radicalism. And it sounds like for me, it's an awful like a number of different mindfulness practices. Once you've got
Yes.
something, once you've got a system in place, and it sounds like this company Ridwell, I want to check them out now. Once you have a series of practices in place, then it becomes habit. Then it becomes easy. And it's not a matter of,
Yes.
oh, I can't throw this in my curbside recycling because they don't take it. And so where do I put it? You do a little bit of work, you do put your everything in order, and now it's easy peasy. And you get to actually look for more ways to expand the project, i.e., turn into your neighbors. And I love the idea of a community collective in this type of project. So what else you got for us? What more we got?
So another R that wasn't in the traditional reduce, recycle, reuse is the ROT, ROT. So that's composting. And so, I've got a compost bin on my counter that I use, but I have well, for composting, there's multiple ways that you can do it. When I lived in San Jose, I had a compost bin in my backyard and I did my own. It was one of the worm composting, but it's cumbersome and, it takes a lot of effort. Um, and where I live now, I don't have that big of a yard to do it. But so I use a compost service because where I live, they don't, like in Denver, they pick up compost and yard waste, but where I live, they don't do that. So I have this compost service that's called Compost Colorado, and they have the option where they pick up once a week. They pick up either a 3-gallon or a 5-gallon bucket of food waste, and you can put things in it like, paper products. You can put bones. You can put oil, cooking oil. Um, you can even put weeds and stuff like that. You can put, but if you have a large bag for yard waste or yard clipping, they want that to be separated. But anyway, they take all of that and then they turn it into compost. And so in the springtime, you're able to get, a dividend of compost. But they also have an option, instead of picking up once a week, you can do a drop off. So after my husband passed, I didn't need them to come every week. So I drop off. So I take my compost or my food scraps to one of their drop off locations, and they have, locked bins, which I know the combination too. And you just put them in, and then, it gets taken care of that way. So that way, if I do have food waste, I don't feel bad about it, rotting in landfill where it's going to turn into methane gas, which isn't good for the environment. So as much as possible, I try to put things in compost. I know at Denver you can't put paper products right now. They had an issue with their compost being contaminated because, too many things that weren't supposed to be in there got put in there. So they're very strict. It can only be certain food products. But with Compost Colorado, you can put, like I said, paper. You can put cardboard, like pizza boxes, newspaper, uh, napkins, dirty napkins, things like that. So I find that my second favorite thing outside of Ridwell is the composting service, because it's easy.
Again, you highlight that point that we talk about here. You did a bunch of them there, man. That was the trifecta. You hit the community piece, right? Where it sounded like, and I'm asking a little clarification, I can take my compost there, but then I also, because I'm a member, I have the ability to take some of the compost and bring it back and put on my zucchinis, if you will.
Yep.
And it again creates community again. And, when we begin to look at the key part there is, as new thought practitioners, this idea of practice. This stuff becomes a practice. And one thing we talk about in all spiritual traditions is, as we learn these new things, we want to embody them. We want them to be second nature. And look at how this is like hitting 3 or 4 things right now: community, reuse. You get benefits of the soil to grow some more zucchinis, to make some zucchini bread, and now we're gonna have a zucchini bread party in the neighborhood. I mean, we
maybe zucchini margaritas.
yes, we're gonna do some really good things as we continue to do this. And the underlining, as you said earlier, the underlining foundation is a world that works for all, including the planet that we live on and call home. So I'm excited.
Thank you. And
I saw
what
it
I
in
like about
I got excited.
with Compost Colorado, they have options where if I didn't want to pay monthly for the service, I could actually have a bin in front of my house that other people could drop off to, and they would then provide my composting for free. So when you talk about community, that's an option too. If there is, a space to put a bin, you can
Right.
then be a drop-off point.
So we could put those bins like we do those little portable libraries, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
But you'd have to, in order to have a combination or to get the combination to access it, you would have to be a member of Compost Colorado.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be open to just anybody like the free libraries are.
Right.
Wow. I love it.
So, and, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it feels like this is, you're sharing with us today, and I thank you for it. So many unique and innovative ways to be involved, to be part of the solution, to create community, and I know a lot of families today, we start talking about subscriptions, and boy, do they add up quickly. And so being able to bring a more community aspect to this, where there are ways and models within the organization, or hey, we just encourage them to do it, creating models where we can share this access and okay, you're the compost lady. You get to collect all the compost. I'm going to do the plastic stuff. This guy down here is going to do all the paint and the automotive and the chemical stuff. And
exactly,
we're going to find ways, whether by intention of building a sense of people together. So I'm loving this conversation, folks. We do want to take a quick break and let a couple of our sponsors say hello, let you learn a little bit more about some of the things that are happening here around the New Thought Media Network. However, we got a whole lot more to go, and we're looking forward to it here with Barbara Schalau and New Thought Today. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Welcome to the Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together. Join us for a truly bilingual retreat experience on the shores of the beautiful Lake Chapala, Mexico. July 22nd through July 26th, 2025, at the Hotel Villa Monte Carlo in Jalisco, Mexico. Featuring Reverend Jeffrey Ryan, Dr. Jose de Lira Sosa, Reverend Dr. Kathy Ann Lewis, Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse, and Reverend Dr. David Bruner. Registration is now open, and payment plans are available. Simply visit www.conventionoftheamericas.com. Come be part of a transformative gathering with powerful presentations, workshops, networking time, and just good old relaxing and connecting. Plus, you can learn more about the science of mind and how to live this powerful philosophy in your life. Transform your life at Convention of the Americas 2025, Rising Together.
Are you passionate about media, storytelling, and making a difference? Welcome to New Thought Media Network, where your voice matters. We amplify diverse voices and share impactful stories. Join us in our mission. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to creativity and community, looking for enthusiastic volunteers who want to be part of something bigger. Learn, grow, and collaborate in various aspects of media production. Incredible support and camaraderie await you here. Your contributions will help us create powerful content that resonates with audiences and drives social change.
Ready to make a difference? Visit our website www.ntmedia.org to learn more about volunteer opportunities and how you can get involved.
Find our volunteer inquiry under the Engage tab on our website, or visit www.ntmedia.org/volunteer. We look forward to connecting with you soon.
And we're back with more of New Thought Today here on the New Thought Media Network. We're talking to Barbara Schalau today, and she's been giving us the 6 R's now. Her website, and you can learn more, is earthmattersnow.com. And there's more than a couple of blog posts on there I'd love to talk about, but we haven't gotten through all the R's yet. So we got a couple more to do, at least, I believe, here. Barbara, keep us rolling on the conversation, please.
You betcha. So recycle is the next one, and that's a big one. And I actually include Ridwell also in that, besides reducing. I think of it as a recycling option. But the other way to recycle is it's actually to give away. So there's websites called Buy Nothing. Facebook groups that are like Buy Nothing Golden or Buy Nothing Lakewood or Denver, where you have to join them, and because they're usually a closed group, because they're usually by demographic area. But the idea is that within your community, if you have something that you don't need, you can post it in this group. So I have a cat climbing tree that I don't need anymore. So my next
Three.
thing is I'm going to take a picture of it and I'll post it in Buy Nothing Golden and see if anybody wants to pick it up for free. It's all about, there's no money exchanging, but other people can post, hey, I really need, an extra large jacket for whatever. And, so you can put requests out there, but it's a great way to get rid of things that you don't need instead of just putting it in the dump or even putting it in, giving it to Goodwill. I like the fact that it's somebody in my community that is going to get it. And then besides Buy Nothing groups, there's also on Craigslist, there's a Craigslist free. So you can post things. So if something of mine doesn't go on Buy Nothing Golden, then my next choice is Craigslist free. Or else sometimes I'll do them both at the same time and just see which one goes first. But the idea is, somebody usually wants what I'm trying to get rid of. And then there's also in Denver, there's something called Blue Star Recyclers. That's another place that things can be brought to. Sometimes they have a fee, but it's for harder to recycle things. And there's actually a center in Arvada called Hard to Recycle Center, where you can bring, that's where I used to bring my styrofoam before I started with Ridwell. But they also take, I believe they take computers and things like that. There's also a place called EcoCycle in Boulder. EcoCycle is, I think, one of the first in the 70s that came up with recycling, but they take a plethora of things. And so if you go to ecocycle.org, you can see what you can drop off. There is a fee usually for some things, but let's say you're a builder or you're doing a remodel project and you have extra materials, you can take it to there and then they actually will resell it at a cheaper price. But things like if you're taking cabinets out of your kitchen, you can take them there if they're still in decent condition and they'll get sold. There's an organization with Habitat for Humanity called Restore, which is similar to that, where you can drop off things that can be resold for building. And then my favorite place that I bookmark on my computer, it's called earth911.com. And that you can type in what you want to recycle or what you want to get rid of, and it will show you ways to do it. So like I had some VHS tapes that, we had digitized. And so I typed in there and there's a place, and actually I found out that I can take it to EcoCycle in Boulder. So that's where I've got a box that I'm accumulating, and then I'll take a trip down there. So there's lots of ways to recycle things in environmentally friendly ways, because we don't always know when we put it in our curbside bin what's going to happen to it. In fact, I've been wanting to go tour a recycling center to just see what this looks like, and I haven't been able to figure out how to do that yet, but I did tour EcoCycle, and that was phenomenal. They have this ginormous machine that they feed styrofoam into. So if you can imagine like a dump truck full of styrofoam put into this machine, and it compacts it in such a way it comes out into these dense logs, these blocks that then get shipped to another company that makes it into something else. But the fact that they take this ginormous amount of styrofoam and compress it into really dense, heavy things is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's recycling. Another R is reusing or repurposing. So, I mean, how many things can we just, reuse? My favorite is little jars that you can get. It might have yogurt or it might have rice pudding or something in it. And these jars are just so great. And so I just use them to store things like shells or buttons. This one has salt. It's just finding things. There's so many ideas on the internet. There's a picture of somebody that took an old ladder and they stuck it so that it's in the corner of the wall of a room, and then they used the slats as a bookshelf. And so it was so creative. So many ways to reuse things.
And that's the key thing you just sparked, right? To imagine the creativity when you get into this idea of living and sharing and building. The creativity is enormous, and we already know that when we are involved in creative activities, it expands our mind and we begin to see things from a different perspective and from different angles, which we've already created this energy vortex, if you will. It begins to grow. And
Right.
that's the good thing about this idea, or one of the good things, because there's many. But again, as we see where people are and the conditions that people are living in, the environment is living, if you will, we're going to have to become more and more creative to be as effective as we can, I think.
I agree. And I had an uncle who used to take sterling silver silverware, and he would make it into mobiles. So mobiles. So what he would do is he would take the tines of a fork and flatten them so that it was, here's the stem of the fork, and then the tines are out, and then he would hang spoons that he had flattened the round part of, and so then he would hang all these spoons around it, and then it would, jingle in the
Like
wind,
a
and it
wind
was
chime,
just,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so it's just very creative way to reuse things like that. The other thing that people don't do much anymore because we're in such a disposable society is actually try and repair something. I mean, that used to be, when I was in high school, I mean, and before, of course, you bought things and they were built to last. And if they stopped working, you would get it fixed or repaired. And now, if something goes wrong, it's easier just to toss it and get a new one. And so it's actually, taking the time to see what it would take to repair instead of just replacing. Inherited a love seat from my parents that was in great condition, but it had fabric from the 80s. I mean, it's that old. And I really liked it because of the comfort, but I didn't like the color of it. And so, there was a part of me that was like, okay, I could just give this away and then get a new love seat. But I really liked that one. And so, I paid to have it reupholstered, which, it cost as much as a new love seat just to get it reupholstered. But at least it was not something that was just getting tossed away, because it still is extremely functional. I use it all the time. So it's trying to find ways to repair.
And that love
And then
seat will last another 40 years now. And
it will.
Okay, you had to put some of it in. We had to dispose of half of it and replace half of it, but it'll last for another 40 years versus a modern day replacement will last 10.
Right, you're right.
Like that.
Yeah. And then the last R is just resisting or refusing. So what what am I saying yes to when I say no to a new purchase? So, am I saying yes to more savings? Am I saying yes to more space? Am I saying yes to less clutter? You know, when I say no to buying more. So I think, that's something that I try to work on. It's still a tough point for me, especially when it comes to fabric because I'm a quilter, and also tea because I just love tea. But you know, I just can't sometimes resist those. But what I try to do, like, is I try to create a list of the things that I want to purchase and not purchase it for at least 30 days and see, at the end of that 30 days, do I still really need this? Do I still really want this? Because there's such a difference between a need and a want. And I
Mhm.
can convince myself that it's a need,
Mhm.
but is it really truly a need?
Right.
So, so,
Yes,
so
yeah,
those are the, oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
just I was just saying I'm chuckling because I like movies, and I got an old TV. I don't know, it's maybe 45, 50 inch. I don't know how big it is. Not one of the bigger ones and not one of the thin ones. And every time I go to the store, they have these bigger, better. They're thin, they're light, and I keep saying I need to get a new one. But I'm like, but this one is working fine. And so it is, you really have to come up with a strategy, as you said, in this disposable environment where it's easy to toss everything and just get something new and not even be concerned with the tossing. But then when you think about, but I could do something else with that money, I could pay down this thing, or I could buy that thing that I really need. And so I'm just, my mind is being creative I haven't created a list, but now I'm going to create a list of purchases and think about it. I love that.
Well, and I just encourage you that someday, if or when you do buy a new TV, think about where you're going to dispose of the old one. Is that something that you could put on, Buy Nothing Lakewood and somebody else could, use it?
Yes.
Or if it's not working, then maybe it needs to go to, hard to recycle, in Arvada or
Mm-hmm.
EcoCycle. There's finding ways. So that's also the trick is when we do replace something, it's like, okay, what do I do with this old thing?
Yes.
Right.
So making sure that it's getting disposed of environmentally friendly ways.
Well, I know you struck a chord with me earlier. We're going to circle back because I have two cat towers in my garage that we've been wanting to let go of, and they're a hard item to let go of. They're a hard item for other people to say they want them, and yet so another avenue by which to
Yeah.
and multiple avenues by which we can embrace all of these different aspects. So,
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So I just want to summarize that the 6 R's. So again, the first one that I talked about was reduce. So what can I change from my habits and my lifestyle? Like carrying a water bottle with me wherever I go, carrying containers to the restaurant, carrying my own silverware, using, you know, filters, reusable filters, whatever. Recycling, um, composting, which is the rot, reusing or repurposing, repairing. Is there something I can mend or fix rather than buying new? And the last one being resist or refuse. What can I say? What am I saying yes to when I say no to something new? So those are kind of the things that I talk about at my website. Like I said, I have about 12 blogs, and at this point, I'm there's probably going to be two more blogs before I close it down. I'll keep the website up, but I won't add more to it. The goal was I just wanted to share these ideas of things that I found somewhat easy to do. And so, I mean, I've learned a lot in researching this, like, this whole thing about when something is labeled organic, what does that really mean? If it's certified organic or just labeled organic. Um,
Mhm.
the blog that I recently released was about electrifying my house. I have solar panels on my house, and I also have a battery system for storage. So at night, I run my house from my battery, the energy from my battery, and
Wonderful.
because of that, I'm working to electrify. So I have a gas stove. So what I did is I purchased a single burner induction cooktop. So induction is, it's faster. It uses magnets, but it uses electricity. So instead of also using a regular tea kettle on my gas stove, I have an electric tea kettle for boiling water. I put in a heat pump water heater instead of my gas water heater. So there's, things like that, because now my energy bill, this is with for gas, electric, the taxes and the fees, it averages about $25 to $30 a month throughout the year. So, and like right now, I'm running my air conditioning, but I I have earned a lot of electricity credits because I'm generating so much that's getting sent back to Excel that, they give me credits. And so at one point I had like $970 worth of electricity credits that I can kind of chip away at
Yeah.
as I'm using more electricity each day. So my next blog will be the second part about what I did to put the solar on and what things to consider if you want to put solar on your house. So anyway, that's kind of about the website.
Now we just got to figure out how to get Excel to let you use that energy credit to pay for Ridwell and Compost Colorado, and we get them to cover the cost for all the other alternatives. And yeah.
Well, actually, I've done a good job of spending down my electricity. I mean, I keep getting notices on my bill. You're using 200% more electricity than you did last year, and it's like, yeah, I know, but that's okay.
Didn't use any last year. Yeah, exactly.
And
It's totally good.
a good blog would be. You made me think about this. The cook in me, the chef in me, is the difference of cooking with gas versus electricity, because and how it's transformed, and how do you
Right.
put that in a container of being ecological friendly.
Right, because what upsets me about my gas stove, I've loved gas stoves forever. And then just in the past few years, it's come out about all the carbon dioxide that's released when you're cooking with gas. And so, if I'm using my cook stove, I'll put on the fan, but still I would feel better if I'm not using it at all. I've
Mm-hmm.
had neighbors that have put in a whole induction cooktop, but that's very pricey, so I'm not there yet. That's on my list that I've made,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
probably won't be for quite a while. But yeah, it's there's ways to do it in steps, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
all or nothing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you hit on a very important part there too. This is not an all or nothing kind of thing. It's most specifically not you got to do all of this. And we talk
Right.
about this on this program all the time. Pick that one that calls to you. Pick that piece that be involved. Get some action going. Be a part of what the solution is. And I'm loving it because I haven't read it yet, but I want to go read this blog post you have on e-bikes, and
Yes,
that's fascinated me as well. That a real alternative to gas powered transportation.
I agree. So I have this handout. So I did a presentation at CSL Denver a few months ago, and I created a one-page handout that lists, the 6 R's and then some, like questions. Is there one of or two of these things that you can do? So what I would like to do is be able to share that with you, and maybe you could post that in
Yes,
the podcast, as well as I can make a PDF of the presentation that gives actual examples of the things that I've spoken about too.
absolutely. Send that over, and we'll make sure we have a way to share that with our listeners. Look for a link in the description, folks. If you're watching live, it's not there now, but if you're watching later on, it will be. So that's for sure. And beautiful. Well, hey, that also feels like it's the perfect place to take our next break and say thank you to some of the people that make all of this possible. But we don't want you to go away, because we're not letting Barbara go away. We have more to talk about here on New Thought today. Please stay with us. But now let's say thank you to our organizational sponsors and individual donors. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for being part of the New Thought Media Network. Please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you to everyone that's making this possible. This is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network for Tuesday, the 15th of July. Our guest has been Barbara Schalau, and you can find and learn more about her work at Earth Matters Now. And Barbara, a question maybe I didn't, I'm just going to ask it because I didn't ask it in the pregame. But if I understand this correctly, you have kind of come to the New Thought philosophy and the Science of Mind philosophy and Centers for Spiritual Living in recently, if I'm correct there. And from the looks of your work, you've been doing your work a whole lot longer than you've been aware of what we're doing. And I love to hear people's origin stories as fresh as we can. So what was it like for you when you walked into Center for Spiritual Living Denver, when you see this guy, Reverend Elzia, up there sharing a message? What was it like for you to find this philosophy in light of all the work you have been doing up to that point?
Well, that's a great question. I've been intrigued by Center for Spiritual Living even when I was in San Jose. I never did participate, but it was just always in my mind because it seemed like exactly what I was looking for. And then I found out a friend of mine still in San Jose, but who is studying to be a practitioner. And I didn't know this. He'd been going to CSL in San Jose for 30 years. And so it just really got me. And he's somebody that I just completely admire and respect. And so I looked up CSL in my area, and I found CSL Denver. It was during the pandemic when I first found it. So I did go to, I found CSL Lakewood first and went to some of them online on Zoom during COVID, but it just didn't fit right with me. And then eventually I tried again, probably about 6 or 8 months ago, going to CSL Denver. And, right from the very beginning, when Reverend Elzea, his first description of what CSL is about a face, a place, and a space of love, or something to that effect. It just really hit home. And then, each month there's a topic that just really resonates. And I like being able to, think about it deeper. And the community has been really welcoming and encouraging. Um, I feel like I'm part of the community, which is really nice. And then when I was asked to do this presentation to the group a couple of months ago, it felt I felt very honored, first of all, to be able to share my message, but it seemed welcomed by the people that were in the room. And so um, it really has been making a difference in how I think about things. I feel like I've been a spiritual person for quite a while. I was raised religious, but uh, I feel like the spirituality is way more important. And so I've gone away from the religious aspect of my upbringing and focused more on the spiritual part. And so it's nice to have those kinds of conversations on a weekly basis.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to do our final thoughts here, folks, and it's just appropriate that I get that started so Rev Z would have the final word of the day. But I want to thank you, Barbara, for coming on and sharing this with us. It reminds me, and my final thought for this day is really there are countless ways to get involved. Little ways, big ways, ways that people see and ways that people don't see. And I don't know that my neighbors would take notice if I started putting out an extra bin of compost or of hard to recycle items. But I know that the earth will. I know the planet will take notice. And I know the cosmic truth takes notice of all of it too. So that's my piece. Get involved. Get involved.
Yes. And if I could just, for closing, just say that, think for people listening, if they could think of one action that was mentioned today, just one thing that you could try for 30 days and, see if it feels right. And if it doesn't, try another thing. But I think the idea is to try things to see what we can do to save our planet. And as the motto of the show is, make this a world that works for all. What is something that you can do to help make our planet more sustainable?
Yeah, and I would just say all of this, everything we do at CSL Denver, definitely everything we do at New Thought Media Network, is about building community. And if you kind of break that down, it's about communing and unity. And so when we look at recycling, we are communing with the planet. We are in a constant relationship and spiritual understanding of each other so that we balance out and create that unity that makes this place work for all. So let's build community on some sound principles like this one of recycling and caring for the planet so that we take care of it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you. Yes. Nothing more to be said there. Thank you for joining us today, folks, on New Thought Today. I will be at the Convention of the Americas next week, so we're taking a week off, and you'll have an opportunity to enjoy one of our past episodes next Tuesday, but we'll be back the week after that with a new friend, Reverend R. Ken Turner out of Chicago. In the meantime, please stay in touch with New Thought Media Network. We're out of here for now. Until next time, we wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.